All right, we are back in the kitchen. Remotes worked, so that was nice. I just don't want it to get messed up, so let's maybe put it up there. So we're going to do stuffed shells, keeping it fairly simple. I'm going to do our stuffed shells with cheese and sausage and spinach. I will try and impart greens into anything that I make. And I'm going to also dice up a little bit of onion to do with the meat. Now you can buy your Italian sausage ground already outside of the casing. So you can just get plain ground sausage. That's a possibility. It was more expensive in the store, and I had this already. So the links are usually a little bit cheaper, which I don't get because that's less product, but whatever. I don't make the rules. I just observe them and try and follow them every once in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and just dice up. I have these bits of onion left from other things that I was doing. So two things, just to, if you watched my morning video, or morning check-in video, you will notice I was talking about my tailbone and how I called the doctor on Monday, but it wasn't Monday, it was Tuesday that I called. And so that's the first inconsistency, so something that I wanted to kind of clear up. And then the second thing would be that they did get back with me today. And it seems that there's some sort of, I don't want to say communication error, maybe too many ways to communicate, and then it's just not being made clear to everybody, patients and staff, I would assume. Because we got the text message saying, okay, you can text your doctors now, and they will respond. And as I said, I did text the office, and I did get a response back from a front desk lady. And then I got a phone call this late morning from one of the nurses, and she's like, well, you know, Elaine's been reaching out to you on the portal, and I noticed that you didn't respond. And like, well, why the portal? I don't understand. I said, the text that we got as patients says you can text your doctors, and I did get a response via text from the office. So I expected that I was getting a text from my physician. And she's like, oh, so many ways to communicate. She says, no, she's been communicating with you through the portal, and you've not been responding. I'm like, oh, that's because I was not told to go to the portal. So a little misunderstanding. However, I did get a text from an x-ray company, from an imaging company. So they did send a script over at some point, and the imaging company had texted me this morning. Yes, all of our care is now done via text, at least here. I'm not complaining about it. It's kind of nice as long as everybody's on the same page. So I did go ahead, and they had the script, and then it's a walk-in thing here. So between 10 and 4, you can just walk in for an x-ray. So that was nice. So I did some work for my doctor, and then I went ahead and ran over to the imaging center and got my x-ray taken. And it was pretty funny because I walked in and they're like, okay, you know, it's going to be a 10 to 15 minute wait. I said, okay, not a problem, so long as it's actually 10 to 15 minutes. I get it. I work for a doctor too. And she's like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. And it wasn't. It was just about 15 minutes, right in there. And they called me back, told me I had to put a gown on. So I put the gown on. And I step out, and she's like, no, you need to stay back in there. Their computers froze, so they couldn't do the x-ray. So I had to wait while their IT people worked their magic and got their computers unfrozen, and then I went ahead and did the x-ray, which was much more uncomfortable than I thought it would be. Lying on that table, I thought it would be, for some reason I thought it would be a standing x-ray, like when they do a lung x-ray it's standing. So I thought that they would do it standing, but no, they had me lie on the table, so that was rather uncomfortable, but no pun intended. The x-ray got done and we're good there. So that's all taken care of. And now we'll wait. They said that the doctor should get the results in approximately 24 hours. Tomorrow's Friday, so probably I'm not going to have high hopes. I'm not expecting that I'm going to get a call back from the doctor, but you never know. Okay, so the onion is chopped. I told you I was putting spinach in. I did take the spinach. I bought frozen chopped spinach, so I took it out of the package, put it in the colander, and I'm just going to take some paper towel and kind of mush it down to get as much of the moisture out of that as possible. So squeezing out all the water that I can. Oh, and it's very cold. And I'm cold in my own house right now. Thus, I have a sweater on. My husband's laying on the couch watching baseball, and he is not at all cold. Those are the big differences with us. Temperature. Whew. Lots of water in this. And yes, you could use a clean dish towel, but then as much as I'm going through, I would still use a couple of dish towels, which is then more laundry for me to do. And during the weeknight when I've been working all day, I really am just trying to do stuff that's kind of quick and easy. On the weekends when I have more time to play around, I am happy to do everything from scratch. Okay, so got that pretty much done. Got our pan here. I'm going to just pop the onion into the pan. Dun, 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 dun. So we'll do the onion and the sausage in the same frying pan. And okay, and we're working. Okay, I didn't see this thing following me, so I was going to go ahead. I'd much rather work over here. So, where's my scissors? Here's my scissors. Kitchen shears. I'm going to go ahead, and you have to remove the skin from the sausage. You can do it with a knife, you can do it with the scissors, doesn't really matter, whatever it is that works best for you. I was going to use the scissors. I think the knife will be better. So I have just a small paring knife, and the sausage is never actually fully closed on at least one end. So you can slide the knife right under that, and you just kind of push that skin back. It can cut through it. Here I am. Yes, there's fire underneath me, but it's one above. So now the skin is slit, and you can just peel that back. There's your ground sausage. Pop that in. I will do that with all the sausage. We'll use this whole package. It's 5 sausages. I think it's, what, a pound maybe? Roughly. Okay. Oh, I hear something outside. We don't have anybody working, but it sounds like workers. Maybe one of the neighbors is doing something. Jeff, do you hear that noise? Oh, it was PR chewing on a bone. Okay. From here, I thought it was somebody doing some work outside. Oh, well. All right, so we're going to get this in here. Oh, so cold. Everything is so cold. All right. And there we are. All the sausage is done. throw that away. Rinse my hands. Anytime you touch raw meat, wash your hands. As Jessica with applesauce and ADHD says, wash your fucking hands. She is a riot. So I did put a pot of water up to boil, and that is starting to come to a boil now. If you didn't know, if you have stainless steel pans, which most of my pots and pans are stainless inside and out, this one has a non-stick coating in it. However, little something I learned when I got my new set of pots and pans, when I read the instructions it came with, was when you have stainless steel, don't put salt in your pot of water until it's come to a boil. Otherwise, it hits your stainless. So there we go. If you didn't know, now you do. So I'm waiting for a little more of a boil to come to my water, which is coming up pretty rapidly now. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to salt the water. Why do you salt the water? You salt the water because pasta does not take the salt once it's cooked. So you have to put it in the cooking process or in the making process. I was going to say baking, but you don't bake pasta. So, and you want it to taste like the ocean. So how much salt did you put in there? A good salt water taste is what you want. Okay, so I put the salt in there, got this going. I love this little mix and chop. It is a Pampered Chef piece. Again, not sponsored, but hey, if they want to, I'm sure there's some new stuff out there that I don't have that I might like, so feel free. Let these videos get lots of views, and then these people will want to sponsor, and then we'll have all that stuff to test out and try and report back on without me having to buy it. All right, so this is working this way. Working its way there. Let's just take our little knife and scrape bits out. Sure, it'll fall out eventually, but I like for it to be there. And when you cook your meat, you don't want it to be gray. You want it to be kind of on the crispy side. I did not put any oil in this. I don't feel that it's going to need it because there's going to be fat from the sausage. I will put oil in my pasta water because I don't want the pasta to stick. And I don't care, because I'm making stuffed shells, I don't care if the sauce doesn't like stick to the outside of the noodle. That's okay. Okay. Badia shells. Why Badia? Because it's the only one that at the grocery store, the only pasta brand that had shells. These are the jumbo shells. And not sponsored, it just happens to be. And had there been a store brand of it, I would have bought the store brand of it. So I'm going to go ahead and dump them in. Okay. Use the whole box. Just break everything down so that it will fit a little better into my garbage. I'm also going to turn the oven on because my pan is still in here when we did our last meal together. Sorry about that, Parmesan chicken. So I put that away. Pop that over there, and we'll get the oven on. That way it will be ready for us. Are we on? Temperature invalid. What is that? There we go. All right. Give the noodles a little stir just to make sure that everybody's in the water. Everybody's playing in the pool. We come back over here and give this a little mix and chop. And when you use this, it's just kind of down and around, little partial circle. You know, I think I said it in a previous video. When I first saw this, I'm like, I don't need that. My God, I've always used a wooden spoon or spatula. It's perfectly fine. I can't tell you how much I love using this thing. So, and now, when these first came out, like Pamper Chef was the only one that had them. Now I think you can find them pretty much anywhere. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get that stiff out of there. That is that. We're going to let that cook a little bit longer. Those are still boiling. I can get this plate into the sink. I have a helper in the kitchen. You can't see her, but she is right here. Maybe you can see her. She is right there. Pretty girl. And we'll go ahead and get my everything bowl, my silver bowl from under here. And we'll go ahead and get the cheese stuff mixed up so that that will be ready to go. Okay. Ricotta cheese, Parmesan. I have some Romano cheese. I'm going to shred some of that in there and a little bit of mozzarella. If you're lactose intolerant, this is probably not the meal for you. Just saying. Okay. So I'll grate a little bit of this cheese. I'm going to use, I have 2 things of ricotta because this is brand new. I always make too much ricotta mixture. It's not going to go to waste. I'm not going to worry about that. And probably about a third of this. That would be my guess. Like I said, we cook on vibes around here. We're not following recipes and all of that happy stuff. If it looks right, feels right, smells right, it's going to be right. Same thing with, people asking me, oh, what time, Jeff will say, what time's dinner going to be ready? I'm like, I have no idea when it's done. I don't know what to tell you. All right, this is cooking up nicely. And it doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of fat in this, so that's nice. Okay. And you can see now that it's not raw anymore. It comes off of this, off those little spindles with no problem. All right. That looks about right. We'll see. If we need to add more cheese to it, we shall. Put an egg in. An egg is a binder. You would think the cheese itself is enough of a binder, but it actually makes a difference in holding all the cheeses together. Raw egg. I'm going to wash my hands. This is the Romano cheese. I'm going to shred some of this. And interesting little thing that I learned, and I found it to be true in my own explorations. When you have cheese, when you have hard cheese and it comes in these plastic wrappers, if you're not using the whole block or wedge of cheese, try and wrap it back up in the wrapper that it came in instead of putting it directly into a plastic bag. It lasts longer. I don't know the whys behind it. I just know that it's a thing, a real thing. And your grater has all kinds of different slicing and grating options. So this, we could slice a cheese. Here is a wider grade. Here is going to be for your Parmesan. And if you had a really hard cheese, you would use this, or Romano. So we're going to just get some of this Romano. Get that shredded. So, are stuffed shells something that you like? Is this something that you make? What do you stuff your shells with? I have done them with just mushrooms and spinach, which is really yummy. Oh man, I should have gotten mushrooms while I was at the store today. That would have been fantastic. All right. That's enough. How much is it? Maybe a cup. Maybe a cup of grated Romano. And we're going to use it all. We'll pop that in the bowl. I love my bench scraper. A lot of bench scrapers will double as a cutter. This one does not. This is plastic and rubber. So I'm going to put in some Parmesan. I didn't have any fresh. Or I do. It's in the refrigerator outside, one of the two. And some mozzarella. This is Lucerne brand. Why Lucerne brand? Because it's what was on sale at the grocery store. And this is what they call a rustic cut. So it's a little bit wider. It's not that fine cut cheese. Okay, we're going to give this another stir because it's sizzling nicely. Sure you can hear that. Smells good. This should just be a little bit smaller. And you know, how small do you make the meats? That's up to you. People have different, sensory issues. So some people like a bigger chunk. Some people don't like that chunk. I'm somewhere in between. And it's not a sensory issue. It's more of an appearance issue. And Mr. Dimble stopped following me again. Why are we not following? Come this way. He's not coming that way. That's okay. All right. So we're going to mix up the cheeses. You can see it's all in there, and the egg. I will put pepper in mine as well. And I'm going to put some garlic powder. I'm not going to put any onion in it because... Actually, I think I'm going to add the garlic powder to the sausage. And it may not be necessary. Maybe I'll use fresh garlic. That's what I'm going to do. Fresh garlic in here. I'm going to turn that down. My garlic press. Love my garlic press. All we do is put the garlic piece in here. And then you're going to press. I know I've showed this before. And then I'm going to save this to throw into my stock bag. Because that little bit there will go in for stock easy. Really trying to, well, we have quite a bit of food in the freezer, so I'm not really worried about that. But trying to think of meals that are going to be fairly inexpensive to make. I want to say that the ricotta cheese, the big container, the store brand, $5.99. The mozzarella was on sale when we bought it, was $1.97 for the 8-ounce package. The other cheeses I already had in the house. So I'm going to try not to catch myself on fire, grab the pepper. Sprinkle some pepper in there. And do this. All right, this is cooked nicely. Oven just came up to temperature. You may have heard the beep, beep, beep. Noodles not quite done. That's okay. Oh, gimbal decided to work. Whatever makes this thing decide to work and not to work, I don't know. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, I'm going to get all this yummy bits of garlic and onion out of this. because that is just some yummy flavor that we want to make sure that is in our meat mixture, because that's going to transfer into our shells. This is done. I'm going to turn this off. If this were an electric stove, I would tell you take it off the heat. Heat's gone. It's done. The burner itself, the metal grate, may still be a little warm. And we want this to cool a bit because we don't want to put it in here and then have it melt the cheese. Okay, cheese all mixed up. And I'm going to give our spinach another squeeze here. And so if you get additional background noise, my husband seems to like to multitask when he's lying on the couch. So he watches one show on the TV, which this case is baseball game, and then he's watching something else on his phone. Sometimes it's poker. Sometimes he'll flip it. He'll watch a Western on TV and then watch a baseball game on his phone. All right. I think that our spinach is sufficiently squeezed out. And we'll just dump that in there. All right. I did have 2 bags of spinach. I don't think I'm going to need both bags for this, but I will see what it looks like and then make that decision. That looks like the right call. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, and that is what it looks like with the spinach mixed into it. So that is that. Where are we at time-wise? So that is just about 30 minutes. Okay. Just about 30 minutes for all of that. I do need the pasta to boil a little bit more. These shells are not quite ready. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to you once the shells are cooked, cooled enough to handle, and then we'll assemble and put into a pan together. So I won't leave you out of anything. Oh, we can do the sauce. So keeping it simple, right, and inexpensive. Went ahead and picked up some sauce from the grocery, just the store brand. Why just the store brand? Because I'm going to doctor it up anyway. I'm going to do my own thing to it. So it's just giving us something to start with. And I need to go ahead and grab another bowl. So we will do that. What bowl can I use? I think I can use my blue bowl. The complimentary cereal bowl. I told you that story already. Another thing that Jessica with applesauce and ADHD says and swears by is when you have a jar to open, she said spank it. Turn it upside down and spank it hard. She said every time they'll open. And I'll be darned. So it has. Usually I'm calling my husband, Jeff, can you open this? So it worked. And she's very funny. What she does cooking, and she calls it her aggressive tutorials. And she is, rather rah about whatever she's doing. And that's her shtick, and that's fine. It's not who she is as a person. So put a little water in there. You want to get everything out of it that you can. Okay. And there we are. You could save the jar for your stock if you're making stock, but I have several stock jars, so I don't need it anymore. I don't know anybody else that's collecting them, so it is going to go into the garbage. You would think here in Sierra Vista, we would have, it's beyond me that we don't, that we would have recycling, and we do not. So we don't. All right, the normal stuff. Garlic powder, onion powder, parsley, oregano and basil is what I'm going to go ahead. It's all in there already, yes, but I'm going to add more to it. And just so you know, my basil is actually fresh dried basil. My sister has a green thumb, and she brought me a bunch of basil. So I didn't need it when she brought it to me. And I always do more basil than oregano. Oregano is very strong to me, and I am not put off by it, but I don't want a ton of it. Garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder. Not too much. I got onion in there already. And the dried parsley. Same story with the parsley. This is from my sister's garden. I'll toss that in there. I don't need to worry about heating this up. And it doesn't want to follow me again. I can't make this stuff up, guys. All right. So I'm not going to worry about heating this up because it's going to be in the oven. It's going to get cooked then. Our shells are actually looking done, so that's good. All right. And then depending on what I'm making, I may add Parmesan to my sauce, but I think we're good. We've got enough cheese going into these shells. And we'll sprinkle some mozzarella on top as well. So our sauce is now mixed up, so that'll be ready as well when that time comes. And that's it. We're going to get these shells taken care of, and I'll get back with you. All right, we're back. Let me tell you, the things you don't see that I go through to do this silly filming. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just because equipment doesn't work when I want it to. So while I was off camera, I did up the dishes, got all that put away, and separated the noodles, let them cool a little bit. I added the sausage to the cheese mixture, so that's done. I lined this pan. This is the air fry pan. So I lined that with foil, and then I spread some sauce on the bottom of the pan. I'm thirsty, so I'm going to grab my water. And now we're going to go ahead and we are going to stuff the shells. So I just have a regular tablespoon. How do you know when the shells are done? You want them to be done you want them to be pliable, but not fully cooked, because they're going to go in the oven, they're going to cook some more. All right, then they just turn into mush. How much are you putting in there? You're going to fill this up as much as you want. Okay. I don't necessarily need or want the shell to close all the way. And there we go. So we have these shells to fill. My husband was starving. Now, even though it's just the two of us, this is going to look like an awful lot. One, it will freeze. Two, we will eat it for lunch and dinner again. My husband was starving, so it is inevitable when you're doing stuffed shells, just like with lasagna, that you are going to have some broken shells. Some that are going to be torn. The ones that are torn, like this one is torn, you can use that still. I mean, really, who's going to be that kind of picky? And if they are, do they deserve to eat at your house? That's what you have to ask. All right, so just popping the cheese in the shell and then putting them in the pan. The broken ones, since he was starving, I gave them to him. He could put a little butter on them. He ate them in the meantime. This may not be done by the time he has to leave, so he may have to wait till he gets home to eat dinner. It'll be here. And in the meantime, he's had a little something. He's had a nosh. He's had a little nosh. Nosh is a Yiddish word, and it means little something to tide you over. Not quite a snack, not a full meal. We just need a nosh. All right. This shell is all kinds of tore up, but I'm just going to kind of piece that back together. So I have all this stuffing. And now this filling, if I don't use it all, it's not going to go to waste, because I can do something really simple, like take a few lasagna sheets and make a small lasagna with whatever's left over. The same thing's going to go with this sauce. I've got some meatballs, so we can have meatballs, ricotta, and sauce one night for dinner. And I also saw another recipe online. It was from Jessica from Applesauce and ADHD. She called it a egg roll bowl. And basically you do the filling of an egg roll, but in the pan. And then you can just serve it in a bowl over rice, which sounded like a smashing idea and super simple, and could be one of those weeknight dinners that I make and take you along on. So, and for that one, it was just ground pork and the coleslaw mix with the cabbage and the carrots, and then all the Asian sauces. So the hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, a little bit of sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic, ginger, and mix it all together, and there's your dinner. Sounds super simple. How do you go wrong with those flavors? So if you don't like Chinese food, I guess it's not a great thing, but we like Chinese food around here. So, and then we also avoid all of the frying of the egg roll shells. And you can take little wonton strips and top that on top of it if you want the crunch. But you don't have to. So stuffed shells it is. This is where we're at. And this, I may not have any filling left over. I'm already halfway through the bowl and not quite halfway through the shells. So there may not even have enough, in which case he'll just have more pasta with butter and Parmesan if that's what he wants. I don't know if it has to do with your descent or not, but my favorite comfort food, I guess you could call it, is just noodles with butter and sour cream. Just love that. My family heritage is Hungarian, so we do pierogies, homemade pierogies, which we'll do together one day. It's a bit of an endeavor, so it'll be one of those things that unless you like to cook, you're going to watch and say, "Ooh, that looks really good." And if you've had my pierogies before, you'll be like, "Oh man, I miss that." But maybe one of those things where you're like, I am not going through all that, because we do our pasta dough from scratch. Well, I do. I pasta dough from scratch. So, but luckily I have my KitchenAid and I have all the attachments to roll it out, so it's not like I'm hand rolling any of that. And you can make your own pasta. It is super simple. It is simply flour, a little bit of salt, sometimes an egg, and water. That's all it is. You can roll it out and cut it up any way you want. And it's so good. It is really, there is such a difference between homemade pasta and store-bought. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, but once you become proficient at it, or as with anything, once you become proficient at it, it takes no time at all to do. And then people prefer to do it that way. So again, our filling is spinach, Italian sausage. I used mild Italian sausage. Could use hot if you like hot. My husband would have liked hot, but I had mild in the freezer, and it was the first one I saw, so it is what we pulled out and what we're using tonight. And I don't mind hot sausage because it's not that hot. I have found as I'm getting older that I like the spice more than I used to. Like, I'll put red pepper flakes on my pizza and stuff now. I would never have done that when I was younger. So our taste buds change. I don't know about that one. That one's kind of wonky. This goes pretty fast. And cooking can be therapeutic. And I enjoy cooking for others, so I really do. Somebody said to me, one of my students last night, we were talking, and she's like, what do you do for fun? Because she had gone to, one of her friends had a tea party. This was about 2 weeks ago now, and I hadn't seen her since, so I asked her about it last night. And she said it was nice, it was fun. She got to meet, the guy's wife and the dog, and but she looked at me and she goes, so what do you do? Like, do you do tea parties? I'm like, well, I entertain all the time. And she goes, no, where you just kind of go and relax. And I said, no, I really don't do that. I said, but I enjoy cooking and I enjoy giving to others. So I get my enjoyment that way. That is not to say that I don't like to go to a good restaurant and really have some good service. Don't get me wrong. For that here, we have to go into Tucson or Phoenix, probably to a fancy hotel, because I don't know too many restaurants in Tucson. I will admit that, where you're going to get 5-star service. But I've not been here that long, and I've not gone to Tucson to eat out that often, so that one's a split, so it may kind of split some more while cooking. Let's see. Let's put some stuffing in this as well. So this had all my shells come out. This would have been the perfect amount of cheese for the shells. As it is, I'm just going to have a little bit left over. And I'm going to go ahead and stuff it into all these wonky broken shells. It's not going to be a big deal. We'll pop those in this pan. This one's not so bad. All right. Where can I fit you in, my friend? I'll just do it there. Can I? See how torn that is? We'll still make it work. There's a lot of shells, yes. It's going to be a lot of stuffed shells. Like I said, it's going to freeze. We're going to eat them. It's not going to go to waste. Won't be giving any to my sister because I put sausage in them and she does not do pork in any fashion. Unless it's turkey sausage, and that doesn't, well, then that's not pork, that's turkey. All right. Wow. Yeah, have these shells been in better shape? Perfect amount of filling to shell. All right. Again, we're just cooking on vibes here. And you can put whatever you want in this mixture. I am sure that there are even vegan cheeses, although all the vegan cheeses that I've had do not melt well, so they just don't, it's just not the same, in my opinion. And just like the whole sugar-free thing, I mean, I remember I had told somebody about, oh, try it, it's really good, you won't know the difference. And she tried it, and she looked at me, and she's like, Rose, she goes, you don't know the difference because you haven't had sugar in so long. She said, there is a difference. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So all the shells are done and in the pan. I didn't need this extra one, so I will go ahead and wash that out and we will reuse it. And then we're going to go ahead and just take sauce and sprinkle sauce over these shells. And if you're not a big saucy person, just adjust it for yourself. Looks like a lot of sauce, but it's going to be absorbed. The moisture is going to be absorbed into the pasta, so you aren't going to have a soupy dish. And you do want a little bit of sauce. So I'm not going to have any leftover filling, and I'm not going to have any leftover sauce, so I don't need to worry about what I'm going to do with it or plan a different meal around it. We are good. Perfect. I like to make sure that everybody's got a little bit of this. You know, I had received a text today and I looked at it and I responded to it. I looked at it while I was driving and I responded to it without fully reading it. So my response sounded a little bit uncaring because I read it basically backwards. And then when I got to the studio and I sat down and looked at it, I'm like, oh shit. So I quickly sent another text just saying, I'm so sorry that I misread that altogether, and this part of it still applies, but so. And she gave me grace. She's like, I figured it was something. Right. I won't have enough cheese in this bag to cover complete. Oh, maybe. Okay, that's good. If one doesn't have that much on it, it's okay. There's plenty of cheese on the inside. All right, so what does it look like before we're popping it into the oven? There you go. Ta-da! And we're going to pop that into the oven and let them bake. How long are we letting them bake for? We're cooking on vibes around here. We'll check them in about 15 minutes, see what it looks like. Now, the other thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is make some garlic bread. And I use the term loosely. Okay. We have a lot of hot dog and hamburger rolls. So I'm going to take some hot dog rolls and I'm going to open them up and we're going to butter them. And you can see they're not in great shape, right? They're falling apart. But to make garlic bread, it'll be fine. And I'll probably, just to get rid of this bag, do it all. Because if we don't eat it tonight, then we can go ahead and use it for when we do the meatballs with ricotta. And you can put them on there and make a little meatball sub. And having that on garlic toast is nice. So again, keeping it simple, we're going to just use our garlic powder and butter. Now, I asked my husband to, when he was doing his noodles, I said, get the butter out of the fridge and use cold butter for your noodles. Save me the room temperature butter because it's easier to spread. And he did that, but he put the cold hard butter in the container next to the soft butter. So a little bit of a mess trying to get in there. It's fine. It will be fine. We are not going to lose it over anything like that. I might lose it over something else, but not this. Nothing fancy, just slathering butter on these little rolls. And I'm going to sprinkle the garlic powder on it. And then we're going to have a quick, easy version of garlic bread. And we're not letting these hot dog rolls go to waste. Because given the price of everything these days, groceries, gas, everything, we really can't afford to be wasteful. So, there we go. That's taken care of. The lid back on that. A little piece of butter there. Pop that onto that. Rinse dry. And my garlic powder from Penzeys. And it is almost gone, so I am going to need to be making a trip to that spice shop. And I think when I go, I will go ahead and make sure to take you with so that you can see it. I doubt that they will mind me videoing. All right. And the garlic bread is ready to go in. We could be fancy and we could put some, let's be fancy. Okay, we'll be fancy. We'll take some of that parsley and just sprinkle a little bit of parsley over it. All right, now we got fancy. I'm going to put that in the oven. We'll keep an eye on it. All right. And you know, I'm looking at those stuffed shells and I'm really thinking they need more cheese. So I think I'm going to put a little bit more Parmesan cheese on that. And let it melt in. When it comes out of the oven, I'll get right back to you and let you know how it looks, how it tastes. All right. I think things should be done. So what I decided to do, I did add more cheese to the shells, and since I had a little bit left over, I thought, why not put it on the garlic bread? So now we have cheesy garlic bread. And we have cheesy garlic bread that's going to be in the bottom of the oven. All right, so that's out and on the counter. And let's get those shells out. Delicioso. Turn the oven off. Somehow got sauce on myself and on these mats. Now, let's give you a little look-see here. They don't look a whole lot different coming out than they did going in. But there you go. Shells are done. I'm gonna give it a try. And I put foil in the pan because I don't want a big mess to clean up. I'm just gonna take one out. Oh, did you see that cheese ball? And a big splat on the plate. Oh, okay. I'm not editing that out because I promised you real life, and there's real life, okay? I'm gonna grab a fork because I didn't think about that ahead of time. But we had a good cheese pull. That's a thing. All right, and we have a good splat too, and it landed right side up, so I guess we can't. Yeah. Little fork. Take another bite so we get more cheese, less pasta. Very good. Very good. Let's try garlic bread. Also good. Simple, good. That's dinner tonight. At least my whole tray did not flop out. Just the one on the plate. I'm going to get one to Jeff real quick before he has to leave. And I will see you very soon.